Hello, it's Sonia here with the Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making a little square. Well, actually not super little, a larger square. And I'm going to be using a G hook or 4.25 millimeter. And I have this blue yarn. I think it's like a fingering or maybe a sport weight. You can certainly use whatever hook or yarn that you have. I just recommend not using like fuzzy yarn and just pair your hook size to the type of yarn you're using. So for instance, if you were using worsted weight yarn, then you might want to use like an I hook or a G hook, or I'm sorry, not a G hook, an H hook. Or if you were using chunky yarn, you might want to use like a J or a K or even larger. So this is going to be a basic filet crochet project, a really easy one. And I had some people that I know ask me about filet crochet, and so I thought I would just do a little tutorial of basic classic filet crochet. I love filet crochet. It literally you're making pictures with your crochet a different way. You can certainly do it with, there's color work. You could do that type of crochet also makes pictures, but this is just another way, and it's usually done with mesh and blocks. So there's mesh blocks and solid blocks. So to do this square, we are going to chain 30. Alright, so I have my 30 chains here. Now I love filet crochet because it looks really kind of complicated when it's finished. A lot of times people are like, wow, it kind of has that wow factor, but it's really simple to do. So if you've seen it before and you feel a little intimidated by it, please don't be intimidated. It really isn't as hard as it looks. So to do this first row of our little square, we're going to make a heart. We are going to double crochet in the 4th chain from our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to work in the back bump, but you can certainly work in your chain however you want to, but I want to work in the back bump. And my skipped chain 3 will count as a stitch. So this is just going to create like a little border. So I'm going to double crochet all the way across my chain, and I'm going to have a total of 28 double crochet when I get to the end of my chain. So I'm going to keep going, working my double crochet in my chain, and I will meet you back at the end of this row. This is row 1. Okay, so I've completed row 1 here. So at the end of row 1, I have a total of 28 stitches here. So we're going to begin row 2. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn my work. So usually when you're doing filet crochet, it's usually in a pattern. If it's a written pattern, there's a chart. I'm not going to show you a chart for this one because it's pretty simple. But if you were looking at a filet crochet pattern, it's usually in a chart form. It might be crochet symbols, or it might just be a picture. A lot of times it's just a picture, usually like a graph, and you will see the blocks, and some of the blocks will be shaded, and then some of the blocks will not be shaded. So the shaded blocks are usually the filled in ones with the double crochet, and then the not shaded ones are the mesh. And each block, I will show you how they're made up. So right now we're just working double crochet, and we will do one block on this row for row 2. So we have our chain 3 we've turned, so now we're going to work 12 double crochet. So you do not want to work in this first stitch. You don't want to add stitches. You want to work in this next one. So there's 1, 2. So actually there's going to be a total of 13 altogether. Okay, so we're going to be on 13. So stitch 13 is going to be part of your first mesh block. So this is the first part of the block, and now we are going to chain 2, and we are going to skip these 2 stitches and then double crochet in the next one, and then your mesh block will be complete. So if you're looking at your picture and you see an open block, that's what you would need to do. So let me just kind of get something to cover up this guy here. There we go. So this is just one block here. This is what it's made up of. It's made up of a double crochet here, a chain 2 space there, and a double crochet there. So this is a standard basic filet block here, a mesh block. There's also solid blocks, but for this pattern we're just doing a mesh one. The companion pattern will be solid blocks, so you'll get an idea, and I think I'll have some mesh in there too. So you'll get both, but we're just doing a basic mesh here. So this is what it would look like. And then for the rest of this row, we are just going to work single crochet to complete this row. And we will have started our heart. So the heart's going to be worked from the bottom up. So this is the bottom part of the heart. Okay, so when you get to this row, end of this row, you're going to single crochet, or not single crochet, double crochet on top of that chain 3. And then we will have completed row 2. So you can see, here's our mesh block right there. So now we are going to add more mesh blocks. So we are going to chain 3, turn our work. We are going to double crochet in the next 10 stitches here. So this counts as a stitch again, so we're going to have a total of 10. So this is stitch 2, and again, you don't want to add stitches, so just be mindful of that. Don't pop your stitch in here because then you're adding, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to work a set of 3 mesh blocks. So right here is the start of our first of our block here. So we have a total of 10 stitches here. Just want to make sure. All right, so to start that first mesh block of row 3, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip 2 double crochet and double crochet in the next. So we want to have a total of 3 mesh blocks. So when you come on top a mesh block on top of a mesh block, it's very simple. You chain 2, you just skip that chain 2 space, and you double crochet in your next double crochet. So there we are. Now we're going to chain 2 again, skip 2 double crochet, and double crochet in the next one. So now we have 3 mesh blocks. So if you would see your chart, if it's just a graph like the actual picture, you would see these open mesh, and then the rest of the chart, this would probably be all just solid because it's just double crochet. Or it could be symbols as well. I've done both. So you would have the symbol for double crochet and the chain 2 spaces and then double crochet. Or it could be completely written out. Some people don't like charts at all and have a terrible time reading them. So I've seen patterns all three ways, with just a picture, with just symbols, or just written out. I kind of prefer a little of both. I don't mind just a picture. I usually like to have a little bit of written directions included because I am a reader, but I'm also a visual person as well. The crochet symbols, I don't mind them. It's just sometimes I forget which each symbol stands for, so then I might have to look it up. Alright, so we're going to finish up this row, and we're just going to double crochet on top of that chain 3. And now we have our row 3 completed. So now let's get ready for row 4. We're going to chain 3, turn our work. So as you can see, very easy stitches, chain 2 spaces, double crochet. So that's the beauty of basic filet crochet. It's just, very simple, but it looks really pretty, and depending what you're making, could look really delicate. So now we're going to double crochet in this next double crochet, again, not adding any stitches. And we're going to see how many we need. I'm not quite sure, so just follow along with me here. Might be 7. I don't have my notes with me. I'm just kind of playing it by the seat of my pants here. I left my notes downstairs. I usually film upstairs. Okay, so let's see how many stitches we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, 7. Oh, I was right. Way to go. All right, so now we are going to make 5 mesh blocks across. So we have our 2 double crochet we need to skip. So we're going to chain 2, skip those guys, double crochet in the next, and we're just going to chain 2 because we're working a mesh on top of a mesh. There we go. So we have 4 mesh blocks, so now we need to work 1 more. And we're going to skip the next 2 double crochet in the next, and just double crochet across to finish up row 4. So the heart is starting to emerge. It's always exciting when you are doing filet crochet when your picture starts to pop out. I always love it. So also, you can tell if you made a mistake. That's frustrating. I have done filet where I wasn't paying attention to my chart very well, and then I'm like a lot of rows in, and let's say I'm like all the way up here in my project, and then I notice like down here I made a mistake. And I'm pretty much a perfectionist, so then I usually take everything apart, go back and fix my mistake because it drives me crazy. Alright, so there we go. We have row 4 completed. So let's work on row 5. So we're going to chain 3 and turn. And same thing, double crochet in our next stitch here. No adding of stitches. I believe we're double crocheting maybe in, let's see, so in 4 stitches. So there we are. So now we are going to chain 2, skip the next 2 double crochet. So we worked 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I wasn't sure if I was super clear on that. So we're going to skip 2, double crochet in the next, and we're going to continue to work our mesh across, and we're going to get to here. We're going to chain 2, just skip 2, and then double crochet in the last 4. So this is a very simple filet project here, just making the one picture. Some are a lot more intricate. So you really do want to pay attention. It's not so much that it's difficult, it's just you really need to make sure you're on the right row, and you need to make sure, you know, you're placing the stitches, you know, your mesh blocks where they're supposed to be, your solid blocks where they're supposed to be. So just, you know, keeping that eye for detail. So if you're not a super detail oriented person, then maybe filet, like a very detailed filet project, might not be one of your favorites, because it's not certainly a mindless project. Alright, so I'm skipping 2 and working in my last 4. Alright, so let's get ready to work row 6. So we are going to chain 3 and turn our work. So row 6 is just going to be a repeat of row 5. So we're going to double crochet in these next 3 stitches for a total of 4 on the ends. And then we're just going to work our mesh all the way across. So chaining 2 and then double crocheting in the next double crochet. So we have a total of 7 mesh blocks here. So we are actually almost done our little heart design. So you could use this pattern to make a whole bunch of squares and then, you know, work whatever border you want. You could just do a single crochet border and then, you know, stitch them together to create a cute blanket or a scarf, or, you know, there's a lot of different things you could do. It could actually be a dishcloth. Alright, so we have got this part of our heart, and we're going to finish up the heart part here. So we're going to chain 3, turn our work. So we are going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches for a total of 4 stitches again. So now we are going to be working in the blocks. So when you work in the blocks, so if you were looking at your chart and it was just a picture chart, when you work in the blocks, you just pop 2 double crochet in that block. So this is the first part of your block here, this double crochet. Then we are going to work 2 double crochet right around that chain 2 space. So there's 1, 2, and then double crochet in the next. So when you're looking at it, so if you were looking, I'm just going to use my papers here again. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and that would be 1 block here. So this would be a shaded block. So now we are going to work 2 mesh stitches. So we're chaining 2 and double crocheting in the next. And we're chaining 2, double crocheting in the next double crochet. So now we are going to work another shaded block here. So we're going to double crochet in the next chain 2 space, just working 2 double crochet. because you're always going to have the same amount of stitches that we started with. So we have 28 here, so we will, you know, you just want to keep with that pattern. So if we double crocheted all the way across by working 1 stitch in each double crochet and 2 double crochet in each chain 2 space, we would still have 28 stitches. So now I have filled up that block. So I'm going to chain 2 and skip the next because we want this side to match the other. For the next 2 mesh blocks. There we go. And now we are going to fill in that block here. It's going to be a shaded block or solid block, I guess. So working my 2 double crochet, and then we're just going to double crochet across. And the heart will actually be complete. So there we go. So when you lay it down, it shows up a little bit more. Sometimes you kind of need to lay it down and maybe even take a step back, and then you're like, oh, there's the picture. It doesn't always jump out at you right away. So now we're going to chain 3, turn our work. So to complete our little block, I'm just going to double crochet across. And you can do a lot of different things, as I said before. You know, if you wanted it a little bit larger, you could even have, you know, 2 or 3 rows of double crochet. You could have a different color on the bottom. There's lots of different things you could do. And then you could stitch around the whole thing to create your little square. And you can make a whole bunch and stitch them together for a cute little blanket. So get creative, use your imagination. I just wanted to show everyone how easy it is to just do basic filet crochet, to kind of take the mystery out of it, because some people think it's really difficult, and I just wanted to break it down and just show you that it really isn't hard. It's literally just made up of double crochet, chain 2 spaces. So if you can do those things, you can do this. So one of those deceptively easy projects, but looks really amazing depending on the picture that you're making. And filet can be really nice in thread because cotton blocks really well. So if you wanted to make, I made my mom, she loves horses, and I made her a filet horse, like a table runner, but she actually mounted it onto her wall. She liked it so much, didn't want to use it as a table runner. I can try to, if I find a picture of it, I'll show it at the end of this video. You can see, and that was made with cotton thread, and it just blocked out really nice, and it looks pretty impressive, but it really wasn't very hard to do. And she loved it, and that's all that matters. Okay, so now that we have the other row of double crochet, then you can really see the heart starting to pop out there. So this is our little square. And as I said before, you can do whatever you want, you know, to personalize it and make a whole bunch of different squares, make a blanket. And I'm going to do another square companion one so that the heart in the middle here will be all solid. So I hope you enjoyed this filet tutorial, and I thank you so much for watching.